Where does Bill Gates sit on quantum computing? NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang talking about maybe it's a 15, 20, 30-year thing when it becomes really big. What's your view on it?
There is the possibility that he could be wrong. That is, there is the possibility in the next 3 to 5 years that one of these techniques would get enough true logical qubits to solve some very tough problems. And Microsoft is a competitor in that space, and I regularly review that work, and I'm quite impressed with it. But Jensen's correct, it could take longer. This is both in terms of how you build a quantum computer and what software you write that can solve problems that other computers couldn't write. There's some hard work to be done. And Microsoft's been in this field a long time, Google, many players. But there are still some very tough problems, particularly the reliability that these qubits kind of collapse anyway. So I'm thrilled that Microsoft is making those investments, but there's a great deal of uncertainty there. In the meantime, the AI stuff, that's improving at a very, very rapid rate. And that, in a sense, it's more predictable that over the same 3 to 5 years, that will get extremely powerful.
What do you think about the pace of innovation at a company like Nvidia? I mean, they've really consolidated seemingly their position in chips. Of course, you have AMD doing fine work too, Broadcom, Qualcomm, but they seem to really be out in front. I imagine you have some thought on that, given how in front Microsoft was making software.
Well, if you say, what are the 7 most valuable companies in the world, put aside Aramco, they're all these tech companies, and the newest arrival to that list is Nvidia. And the fact that Jensen doesn't even make his own chips, that everybody has TSMC available, is all the more credit to him that at the design level, the silicon, the buses, the interconnects, the way they've done things is pretty fantastic. Now, I would say, I wouldn't want to be Jensen necessarily because, wow, other people are working on the same things. But, so far, he has stayed way ahead. And, Microsoft is an incredible customer, always, wanting to get as many of his chips as they possibly can, while at the same time, like other big tech companies working on their own AI chips. So I think it's pretty hard to predict, but right now, it's unbelievable how well he's done.
And we're going in a little bit into opening bit overtime here. On the chips, a lot of big tech players are starting to explore making their own chips. Of course, you have Google dropping Willow, Amazon looking to make its own chips. Is that where do you think big tech will ultimately end up? They want to control more of their own destiny?
Well, that trend has been both on the cloud server side and even on the client side. Apple has been at the forefront of that the magic of their products often involves the work they do for them all client side at the chip level. Microsoft started doing its chips for Xbox, 15 years ago or something. And now if you go into our cloud data centers, we have a mix of Intel, AMD, off-the-shelf ARM, but also custom ARM stuff that some we do ourselves, some we work with Qualcomm on. And so, yes, if you want to optimize an entire system, often being able to work at that chip level and, get rid of the margin at that level, that's the way you can build the best system. So that's a big challenge for people in the chip design business.
Recently, a prominent tech figure, none other than Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates, hinted at the immense pressure Nvidia faces. In a thought-provoking discussion, Gates commented on how the ever-increasing competition threatens to shake Nvidia's throne. As rivals like Amazon, Google, Broadcom, and Marvel sharpen their tech arsenals, the question looms: can Nvidia maintain its lead in this epic AI chip race? Welcome back to Investocracy.
The only substantive thing I really found was that I keep thinking that Blackwell, which is the next iteration, is selling like mad. And to have the first customer learn that the first customer is finally taking it tells me that it's going to be much more forward and not now in front of us. But it's going to happen because obviously if you're spending all this money, you're going to get Blackwell. So then you say to yourself, why do you need Blackwell? Why do you need this incredibly important platform that has software? Well, you need it for both inference and you need it for training. There are people who said with DeepSeek you don't. Now, there's an outfit that I've been dealing with called you.com, and that's not Hugh Johnson, it's you.com. I really like you.com. And it's one of those companies that is really ahead of DeepSeek. It's way ahead. So I said, oh my God, this is going to hurt NVIDIA. And he said, well, no, actually, they're our largest investor. So, I mean, once again, you just find this. The long knives came out, whether it be China, whether it be Biden, whether it be these big hyperscalers that said, listen, we don't want NVIDIA, or we want to scale back NVIDIA. And then something happened which just said, I guess we can't. And then, AMD didn't help the case.
Yep.
Because AMD did not do well last
No, on data center in particular, those shares are looking down a bit.
Yes,
The numbers did come in
And there we
below
get a
at
full
least
downgrade out of Citi today.
what
Yeah,
the
that
street
Citi downgrade
was
was substantive.
estimating on data center for AMD. But I mean, just back to the bigger picture that we talk
Sure.
about often in terms of the incredible growth of data centers overall. I did think it was interesting in some of the commentary on the call from Alphabet, among the world's most efficient infrastructure as well. Google's data centers deliver nearly 4 times more computing power per unit of electricity compared to just 5 years ago, Jim. And yet the numbers just keep going like that.
No, they
Power
do.
consumption, everything else. And even with DeepSeek and the efficiencies that they may have come up with in some way, nobody's pulling back on saying, great, but we need more and more powerful chips, and we need even more electricity.
No one's saying it. I keep hoping that the glass replaces copper. That some people want to do that. I keep hoping that cryogenics from Dover replaces just the typical cooling product or water cooling product. Dover has to scale. The copper movement to glass is a very nascent one, actually led by a woman who's from NVIDIA. So I keep coming back to, well, NVIDIA's figured this out. But people want a price break from NVIDIA. They do. And maybe a lot of this was, okay, Jensen Huang, while you're off there in the Lunar New Year meeting the president, we need a better deal because this thing is rumored to be $35,000. It's not a chip. We keep using the term chip. It's a platform with software. That was another thing that people were missed on DeepSeek. Platform with software, they can charge more, and you can use the current plug it into the software.
But I mean, if everybody needs it, then why cut the price? There's no real competitors.
Well,
and they all seem determined to just increase their compute capacity as much as they can. I mean, again, back to sort of the commentary.
Right.
Alphabet's cloud customers consume more than 8 times the compute capacity for training and inferencing compared to just a year and a half ago. 8 times?
No, I mean, look, when I talked with Jensen about Blackwell, I mean, Blackwell is video. I know that I talk too much about robots, and I know that. But if everyone gets a robot, which is the vision of the guy who runs Doge, then we would all need a lot of NVIDIA power because NVIDIA has robots that don't walk into walls and aren't stupid. Let's go back to rewind the tape about why we liked NVIDIA so much. They were so far ahead of everybody else. Well, what happened? We found out that AMD has fallen behind. We found out the hyperscalers tended to need more than they got. We did get a DeepSeek story out of China, which said that they didn't spend a lot to be able to develop this product, which I think has now been proven to be false. That's not just a Peter Navarro narrative, an anti-China narrative. There was a sense that maybe the Chinese lied.
I don't know, Jim, on that one.
I don't
I've
know
also
either.
heard the other story, which is, well, it's actually very close in terms of what they actually spent to what is spent to train models here as well, that the differential is not that great.
Right. Okay,
So,
differential not that
yeah.
great. That's a better way to put it.
The tech world was abuzz when Bill Gates made a fascinating revelation about NVIDIA's position in the AI chip market. He mentioned that despite NVIDIA's groundbreaking achievements, the tech titan does not manufacture its own chips, creating a unique scenario where excellence in design is paramount. Gates even remarked about how NVIDIA has done things in a fantastic way lately, acknowledging the strategic brilliance of CEO Jensen Huang. But before going on with the video, are you into cryptocurrency? If so, check out our second channel, Investocracy Crypto. We bring you breaking news, expert analysis, and the latest trends in the fast-moving world of digital assets. Whether you're a seasoned crypto investor or just curious about the future of finance, we've got something for you. Click the link in the description to subscribe to Investocracy Crypto now. Don't miss out and stay ahead of the game. Now, let's get back to the video.
So is it then overstating it to say that they have, Nvidia being the they, have gone from in the driver's seat to on the defensive? I suppose both can be true. I mean, they are still in the driver's seat. Look, we didn't even mention OpenAI, the fact that they're doing this huge raise at such an incredible valuation. Where are they going to go with the money to buy what they need? Probably Nvidia.
Right. Well, absolutely. You go to Nvidia. I think that, and I used to work very close with Stephanie, and we would say, well, you know, when someone doesn't have anything to say, you can't necessarily attribute that it's good. And there are many things you can say, and we've all had many different guests during quiet period. And they didn't reveal the numbers, but they gave you a sense of what's going on. Alex Karp is quiet period. He's reporting on Monday. And he just did this incredibly long interview with Sarah. And you can say, well, if he can talk like that and talk about broader themes of Palantir, then Jensen should be able to talk about it in a situation where obviously his stock has had a material move.
So you're saying this, the silence is deafening to
I think
you
silence
on
is
Nvidia's
not
part. Now,
golden.
maybe Jensen Huang uses the appearance at the White House today. As I said, I mean, obviously in these circumstances, there are cameras there. We're going to have a stakeout camera.
Right.
And maybe he comes to the camera and he addresses some of the questions from our producer or reporter who might be on site. We'll have to wait and see. But you own the Amazons of the world that Jim wants to hear from, and you're going to hear next week from that company?
Yeah, I think they're going to spend more money. And by the way, Jim, OpenAI, the rumor is they're actually going to use Broadcom's custom.
Well, that's the custom chips, but Broadcom's going up.
Right, so they'll use both.
Well, and we know, by the way, that Amazon likes custom because it's cheaper.
That's right.
I know that Meta does everything because Hock Tan's on the board of Meta, and he's the CEO of.
Stop spending them.
No,
You know what I mean?
no,
Like,
but I'm
it
just
might-
saying.
Maybe a little less than what they were going to, but I can't imagine that they would they have to keep up with the rest of the industry to be leaders.
Oh, they
right?
have to spend. I'm just saying, what happens if they're cagey?
Yeah.
Why don't they why don't they bargain to get the best price, even though they need everyone? I think Nvidia is one of the best companies in the world. That's not changed. But I do say that this is a thicket. And I'd like to hear that even if Amazon walked away, we don't know. Remember the demand was insane and demand was crazy? I just want to hear that.
Yet, the competitive air is filled with anticipation as companies like Amazon and Google announce formidable ventures in the AI landscape. Take, for instance, Amazon's bold $8 billion partnership with Anthropic, or Google's unveiling of a supercomputer equipped with the AI chip Willow. Both are power moves that speak volumes about the looming competition. In light of these developments, alongside the emergence of DeepSeek AI, Nvidia's stock has experienced a downward trend, currently down 15% year-to-date and trailing behind Apple within the Magnificent Seven's rankings. But before going any further, if you made it this far into the video, thank you. These videos take a lot of effort and time to make, so if you enjoyed them, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. This goes a long way in helping us grow. That said, back to the video.
I don't think you veered at all. I was waiting for you to talk about Trevor Noah mentioning NVIDIA. I thought that's where you were going.
That did come up early. I think, do we actually have that sound built? I think we racked it. I'm not sure we'll get to it, but that was like the first thing.
That sent chills through me because that meant that there isn't an area of the world that doesn't own NVIDIA, and that kind of has to end before you can buy it. Trevor Noah.
NVIDIA looking down again. Obviously, the broader market is going to be down, but it was down on Friday.
Right.
Obviously had a historic loss last week.
Right.
Made some of it back from the week ago loss on Monday when it was down that 17% on worries about DeepSeek and what that's going to mean. Very interesting journal story today that gave some, I thought, decent background on the back and forth between the Biden administration and NVIDIA. At least gave some sense as to why there might have been some frustration on the part of the Biden administration with NVIDIA and put in those last-minute restrictions that you have been very angry about.
NVIDIA did everything they were told to do. Mm-hmm. And they have evidence that Singapore did not bring it. They have actual evidence of where Singapore put their chips. But I think that this company has now been footballed, so to speak. And when I meet people, they own it. And I'm not trying to help people. I don't want people to lose money. But I think there's a cohort of NVIDIA that doesn't know what NVIDIA does, that's worried about DeepSeek. I'm not as worried. I do think that the CUDA platform that they have is going to come out fine. and that the more GPTs there are, they are a winner, but they're in quiet period. And during quiet period, people get very nervous and they sell. I mean, I did a lot of work on NVIDIA this weekend, and then you watch the Grammys and you say, well, geez, all my work was just nullified by a guy whom some people regard as a comedian who mentioned it. I don't want the broad notion. NVIDIA is a fraught stock in the sense that everybody owns it that I talk to, but it's a great company, and I think ultimately it will be a winner, but it has to be a loser first before it's a winner.
Despite the fluctuations and emerging competition, NVIDIA's legacy and expertise remain as stalwarts in the AI chip industry. NVIDIA might face hurdles, but its potential for growth and adaptability in a transformative market underscores its appeal. What are your thoughts on NVIDIA's journey and the rapidly evolving AI chip landscape? Share your perspective. Finally, if you would like to know what companies like NVIDIA have been up to these past few days, go ahead and click on the next video on your screen. See you there.